A gun control group is literally trying to raise money from the blood of Las Vegas shooting victims. A group called Stop Handgun Violence sent flyers to the White House and members of Congress, inviting them to, quote, wipe the blood off your hands and end mass shootings. They also sent the flyer out to reporters. The flyers show images of the Las Vegas shooting, one of which is so gory that we blurted out on the screen. It's a very clear picture of a woman lying dead on the ground, covered in blood. Mark Glaze is a senior advisor to Guns Down. He supports gun control. He joins us tonight. So, Mark, look, I welcome a rational conversation on any topic that might reduce violence, including guns.
Right.
But this isn't an attempt to change minds or to come to an actual solution. This is an attempt to make money off of people's deaths.
Well, look, if this group is trying to raise money this way, I think that's a bad idea. But my only objection, if they're just trying to make members of Congress see these images, is that these images were not graphic enough. They're not as graphic as the average mass shooting.
What would we learn? That shooting people is bad? I mean, I think everybody agrees with that. I mean, it's not. It's not about teaching anybody anything or having people confront the horror. Everyone understands the horror.
No, I actually don't think they do. I mean, I think the problem with gun violence, and it's not different from a lot of different crime problems, is that people see it as a statistic. It's like numbers on a page, or they see the sanitized version that we see on the nightly news or on, on Hollywood movies. When people actually see how devastating any shooting is, but particularly a mass shooting, I mean, I've seen it, and it is shocking. It will force you to think differently about it.
And by the way, this mass shooting's been basically ignored. We're going to Las Vegas tomorrow because we think it's worth figuring out why this happened.
Right.
So I disagree with your premise that people don't understand how horrible it is. They saw it on television. What I'm bothered by is this is not an effort to propose a solution. It's an effort to demonize people they disagree with. Wipe the blood off your hands. Whose hands? Whose hands have blood on them from this shooting?
Well, I think in the view of the people who sponsored this ad, it's people who sort of express thoughts and prayers for the victims when this kind of thing happens.
So if you pray for the victims, you've got blood on your hands?
No, we all pray for the victims. But then after that, if you're
elected... No, we all don't actually pray for the victims. Well, a lot of people attacked the idea of praying for the victims.
Well, I do. But then after that, you actually look for a solution like, what about universal background checks? What about banning assault weapons that have no use in self-defense or in hunting?
Okay, so so what is the solution in this case? I mean, presumably there are solutions that aren't related to confiscating people's guns or violating their Second Amendment rights. I mean, presumably there are solutions around mental health, for example. But those are of no interest to stop handgun violence. By the way, there were no handguns even used here, whatever. This is like not even related to their supposed mission. But the point is, they only want to talk about what law on the books would have prevented this?
Well, look, in fairness, they did talk about two things. One was background checks, was not an issue in this shooting, but they also said we ought to ban assault weapons, and the fact that this guy had a lot of assault weapons.
They said that we renew the federal ban on military-style assault weapons.
Right.
So we had the assault weapons ban.
Right.
It didn't show any decrease in crime during the 10 years it was in place.
Well, not quite true.
It would not, I think that's pretty conclusive. It would not have prevented this because these guns are already in private hands. There are like 100 million of them that are. And so what would be the legislative solution? I've asked this question to like 30 people. Nobody has an answer. They'd rather grandstand and call other people murderers than actually try to find a solution. What's the solution?
Well, you and I have had this conversation, and I'll again say something that a lot of people on my side don't want to say because people will yell at them for it. But the fact is, we need to have fewer guns, and we need to talk about banning entire classes of especially dangerous firearms like assault weapons. And I think we have to talk about not just banning them, but requiring that people allow the government to buy them back.
So universal gun confiscation is what you're talking about.
No, not universal gun confiscation.
You're saying ban a class of firearms. So that would be any rifle with, a capacity of more than one above a certain caliber. I mean, I don't know what the criteria are that you're suggesting, but basically any gun that you would use for deer hunting would be banned.
No, I would make a distinction between long guns that are technically semi-automatic, of the kind like my dad uses to hunt, and semi-automatic assault weapons that
to gun owners and hunters like me, these are meaningless distinctions, but let's get right to the meat of it. What do you do to people who won't sell them back?
I think you at a bare minimum sort of fine them severely for it and build an incentive for them to sell them.
You ready
back.
for the civil war that would ensue when you try and take people's guns? I'm serious.
Well, you know, I mean, I take it seriously, but you know, as you just said, we banned these things for 10 years, and the country did not go up in flames.
We didn't ban them. Actually, you couldn't sell certain guns, but people had them. I had one at home. Nobody came and took it from me.
So how about half measures? Let's do this. Let's reimpose the ban on all new sales.
The one that didn't work.
On all new sales, and over time, the supply will dry up.
All right. Mark, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Las Vegas shooting remains a mystery more than 2 months later. Tomorrow night, we're going to visit Las Vegas in search for answers. We hope you'll tune in then.